Hi guys, as you can see, I've got a mess on my board. So today we are going to be doing, and I know it looks like a mermaid's tail, we're going to be doing some shibori, and I'm going to be attaching this pendant. So this is going to be a necklace, and I'm debating whether I want, because that does look like a mermaid's tail, I'm debating whether I want to do more of a straight up curve. So again, that's why I draw on the felt ahead of time. So like instead of, here, let me move this out of the way. Instead of moving, like coming down like that, and then this coming up like that, you know, more of a rounded kind of. I mean, I haven't really decided. I mean, that would, you know, maybe be like a heart shape. I don't know, because I mean the original idea was to, you know, do that, put the heart on it and have the heart dangling from it. So this would be on your neck, and then I would have maybe two chains coming off of it right there, coming up into a single, and have it be like a nice collar type. You know, maybe even I could maybe even round it off like that and have this dangling from there. So, all right, I'm gonna have to think about this. So anyways, while I'm thinking about exactly how I want to lay down the shibori, I found this ribbon in my stash, which is kind of this brownish yellow with some orange in it. Brownish yellow with some orange in it. And I cut a piece and then cut it in half. And I know we have, so I was looking at this and I want the brown side because I think it matches this pendant quite well. And so then thinking about the coloring of the beads, I was like, this orange goes well. This orange goes well also, but it's rather big. The yellow definitely goes with this color here, so we can use that. And then I was thinking about doing soft copper beads because that goes with the metallic of this. It's not quite the red copper, the antiqued copper look of this pendant, but it's close enough. And then I thought about maybe doing some amber bicones, although looking at that, I was hesitant because those are kind of similar. But then I also have these oranges here. And so what I thought was the bright, bright, bright orange would go well with this. So this would be a warm, sunny, sun-shining color. And then I have this fall mix that I thought, well, maybe because they're smaller beads, we could pull in some of the crackled red and orange, possibly, or even, you know, this peachy color might go well. I haven't decided exactly what I need for beads on that yet. Again, once I get the shibori sewn on, that will determine what I use. But I really like this soft copper. I also have these bronzish brown color pearls is a potential. So first off, what I want to do is I definitely want to stitch on these in this kind of a shape. So what I think I'm going to do is I know I want to keep this curve here. So I think I'm going to start by sewing these on up top here and sewing this on up top here, and then figuring out where this is going to lay and how this is going to lay, and then determine once I've gotten these on what I need my final, again, because I can adjust the final shape with beads. So I found in my stash this reddish brown thread, and while I'm not liking the Nymo lately because it tends to fray quite easily, and I've been having issues with it fraying, especially the colors. I'm going to use it because I don't have anything in my stash that, you know, for thread that actually comes close to this. I've got bright orange, I've got red, but what I'm going to do is I'm also going to take it and I'm going to pull it through some wax just to kind of make sure it's not going to fray as quickly. And I'm just going to start taking shorter pieces of this because, again, I don't want it to fray. Now, I'm doing the Shibori. I'm going to use a stiffer needle. This one's a little bit bigger of a needle. It's got a nicer eye to it. And I am going to double thread this just because I think it'll be easier to, and actually no, because this is beading thread. So we're just gonna start by doing my usual up through. And of course, because you can see this thread, it's gonna be a little bit easier. And actually, before we do that, I'm gonna pause you for a second. All right, I just had to dig out my paint pen here. I'm going to shake it up. As you can see, I've got a copper paint marker here, and I am just going to and this will dry quick. This is alcohol based, so the alcohol evaporates. I don't necessarily have to go over the whole thing. I'm just going over where I know I'm going to see. And I do go over the center a little bit. But I just wanted to get to the edges, mostly the edges, just so if, you know, when I'm you know, beading, this will be, so there. So now I've gotten it, and I can just do this real quick, just so I see that. And see, that's my original design. If I do decide to go outside of the original, I can add in. So give this a second to dry, and we'll start on this side just because there's less paint. So I'm just going to stick my needle through, pull down so I have a little bit of a tail, stick my needle back through, and I may need to get a different needle because this needle's not sharp enough. I'll just use my beading needle. So one of the things that I'm still using up that extra stiff felt that I created. One of the things I'm going to be trying, and I got paint on my fingers. Ooh. One of the things I'm going to be trying is I'm going to be using thinner, instead of felt, I'm going to be using stabilizer, and seeing if doing the sew-in stabilizer will work a little bit better. I'm going to have paint on my fingers. All right, so now I need to decide where I want this orange. Do I want the orange on the up, Or do I want the orange on the down? I think I want the orange on the down, so I'm going to take my first piece, and I haven't decided which one I want first. I think this one. And I am going to come up through. So in reality, I kind of want a, like that, kind of a little bit of a space to, so that it's not right up at the tip. There's just a little bit of a space there, and then I'm going to put a little bit of a space here and angle it so that it comes out so what I'm going to do is, again, I'm going to go through my pleats. And I'm going to get them all together, and I'm going to set it where I need it. And then I'm just going to stitch back through. And just pull it tight. And this, I don't want it to be too wide. So what I'm going to do is I am going to come back up through right where my same hole is, if I can get close to there. So like that's pretty close. It went through the fabric, and that's fine. And then I'm just going to go over top of it and back down through the same hole that I went down, or close to, and just kind of do a stitch over top of that, because again, I want this nice and tight there. I don't want this to be, and that's a little too high. There we go. So that's where I want that. All right, and now I'm going to come back up through the fabric, and I'm just going to tuck this down somewhere in the middle of the fabric, because again, I want this to be tight there, and then I want to fan this. I'm going to want to fan this out from this spot and come down around and attach this down here somewhere. So I am going to, and actually, I'm going to let this dry for a few minutes just because I can still feel tack, and I will be right back. All right, guys, we're back. So I ended up sewing off camera. I actually sat outside, enjoyed some of the weather. It was a little windy, but I was able to get the Shibori sewed on. Figured you didn't need to watch me do that. So I just kind of curved it, toward it. I can fill in with beads and make it rounder if I want, but I figured I would just angle it. Now we've got to make the decision as to exactly what we want to do, and I have lost my needle. That's not good. Please tell me. There we go. So, the other thing is my needle is getting pretty banged up, so I am probably going to be pulling out a new needle here, just because this one, it's seen better days, and it's not as sharp, so poking through this was pretty hard. So I'm thinking, I've got these bronze beads, I got the orange beads. I was thinking, actually, because I do want to incorporate some of the red and some of this, I was thinking maybe putting something here where we do, a red and but I'm not sure what I want to do. I do know that I want to go around the outside edge with the orange and copper and potentially another color. I just don't know. I don't know what color yet, so I'm thinking maybe something lighter. I don't have yellow. I mean, I have yellow, but I don't want to use yellow. I do have, which are the same as those, in bicone. See, these are rondelles, or rondelles. I think I'm going to use the bicones instead. I'll keep those out. So we've got the orange, and I maybe will put yellow with it so that it'll, just to brighten it up a little. So with that being said, I am going to pull out some white Fireline, rather than using this here. I mean, I could use this. Actually, we'll just use this, because this way it'll be similar color. And we are going to thread up our needle. And again, I'm not taking very long of this because it will fray. And I'm going to start up at the top here, or somewhere close to the top. I'm not necessarily going to go directly and I am going to just pull, I may put a knot in this just to see if, oops. Just to see if I can keep it from coming through. There we go. Nice little knot. And we are going to pick up, I'm going to start with a copper bead, and I think one of these orange bicones. They're very bright, but I do want them bright because I do want to pull in the orange that's down here. And I'm going to pick up, so usually you pick up 2. I'm going to pick up 3 to start, just because I always want to end with a small, and oh god, that needle goes through so much nicer. Your needles will get dull after a while. Just saying. Don't be afraid to, just because you have a needle, don't be afraid to, if it's starting to be worn, chuck it and get something new. All right, I think I'm going to do, do I want to put a bronze or a yellow? Let's see what a yellow looks like. And then we'll see what we do. I don't like the yellow in this. I may just do bicone, copper bicone. Just because I think the yellow's too big. And I wonder, we do have red. I'm wondering if maybe we pull in a red so that we can pull in some of this as well. So let's see what a red would look like. And so this is the thing with doing shibori. You want to design it. You want to see what it looks like. Now see, I'm liking the red. I think I'm going to do these two, and I'm going to go all the way down, alternating red, orange, red, orange, red, orange. Oops. And so we're going to go down. I'm going through 3, like, so you're always going to go through 1 before the 2 you just picked up. This way you have a nice good back stitch. And it will tighten up as you go. So I'm going to continue on down to here, and then I will be back. Okay, guys, so I'm up to a point where this kind of ripples, and I don't want to keep pushing this over this way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to step over the shibori and literally just go in through on the side of the shibori, instead of going over top of the shibori, so that this has, so that this will literally tuck and stick out there and look like another ripple. And we are getting pretty close to the bottom. So one of the things that I need to decide now before I get too far is I need to sew in a jump ring. And I need to decide if I'm going to go all the way down to the point and do a point, or if I'm going to do a more rounded. So at this point, I need to make a decision. So, because what I need to do, and let me grab a jump ring, I'm going to get a copper jump ring. Let me find my jump rings here. And I don't have any, I'm debating whether I want to use bronze or if I want to use, because I don't have any red copper. And so I have copper, but not like a dark red copper. So I have a choice of using bronze, which is more yellow, or copper, which will go more with this. And so what I need to do is I need to sew in a jump ring so that when I'm done cutting, I can attach this with another jump ring to it. And so I am thinking, if I go around in a curve and just kind of come in and round this and come up, again, I'm just trying to figure out, do I want to come all the way down or do I want it more rounded? And I think I want it more rounded, so I am going to stick my needle. First, I'm going to stick it back through the fabric here because I am going to continue with my border. But first, I need to decide, and I'm going to come up roughly right here where I think I'm going to want to put the jump ring. And so I'm going to sew the jump ring in, but I'm going to sew the jump ring on the back side of this. So where I just put my thread in, I'm going to come back through the fabric. And I'm just going to, and it's going to be stiff because we're going through all that paint on that point. And now I know where my needle's coming out, and I'm just literally going to sew the jump ring in to the fabric by holding it down, and we're going to glue this anyways. So so all we're just going to do is stitch this down and hold it in place. And again, just go back up through. It does not have to be perfect. Just make sure you don't get the loop or the hole where you're. And so I'm just going to put 2 or 3 stitches just to kind of tack it in, because again, we're going to glue this portion. And And it'll also have more stitching when you do the beads, because we're going to put some beads down there as well. So now that's tacked in there. So now I know that I'm tacked in. I've got at least 3 stitches. You know, and I could probably do a couple more, but I don't necessarily have to. So I'm just going to come back through. Again, this is going to be hidden anyways. And then I'm going to come back up through and continue beading. And so what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to round this a little bit, rather than making a sharp point here, because again, I don't want it to look like a mermaid's tail. So now I've got my jump ring sewed on, and it's not super tight, you know, so be careful of it. And so when I say I'm going to round off, I'm thinking I'm going to come down here a little bit and then up there, up there. So we're just going to kind of, it is going to be a kind of a flowy curve to it, but I think that's going to look nice. And what I'm going to do is see how, because again, I can always add more beads if I don't like it. And again, as you can see, if I were to keep my needle or keep my jump ring down, when I go into my hole there, it's going to go through the jump ring. And so this is going to tack down the jump ring also. And I see a space there, so there's a space where I can see brown, but we're probably going to be filling all of that in with beads anyways. So, because this whole thing is going to be full of beads, and the in between and it won't go through all the beads, that's fine. We'll just go through 2 and then go through 3, or go through 1 and go through 2 to get through all 3. So there's going to be a little bit of a space here, and there's a space right here, but we're going to probably fill all of this in with beads, and I'm probably going to do something where I'm going to come up and make a point, so it's going to be it's going to be something of a heart shape. It's going to be kind of unique and interesting. And again, I know I say and again a lot. Don't worry about perfection. And so here I am not quite in the center. That's fine. What I may do is pick up another seed bead and start heading the other direction. Potentially, or because we're just to the edge of the side, we're just to the edge of the, so what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to pick up a seed bead, and maybe, let's see, that seed bead is on the center line. So can we push that over? Or, well, if that seed bead's on the center line, maybe we just do the orange. Let's try that, see what that looks like, and start heading the other direction. So that way we're not, yeah, I like that. That'll work. We'll just make sure we push this down enough. And again, you can adjust your embroidery so that it is centered. Ooh. And there we go. And again, if you're trying to be symmetrical, that's why I had the cross there when I started drawing my design on the fabric. Just so I had an idea of where things were going to lie. And I like that. All right, so I'm going to finish going up this other side to the same point where I'm at here. And then we are going to sew, I'm going to sew a couple more jump rings up here. And I'm going to come back around the other side and I will meet back up with you just to show you what we've got so far. And then we'll get to designing the interior. All right, guys, so I've got a bit of a decision to make. And so I don't know if I want to round this off more or leave it more of a point. If I leave it more of a point, I'm going to have to go outside of the Shibori, which is fine. I can always add additional beads, or I can add additional beads on the outside here. But for now, I think I'm going to hold off because I'm not sure what I want to do. Again, this is where I'm designing on the fly. If you want to plan out ahead of time, if you're doing this on your own, I decided I want to see about filling this in. And I did color this in with the paint while I was off camera because I think I want to put a red pearl there and potentially do a so I'm going to come up through, if I can get dead center here. Pretty much, there we go. Dead center at the top. I think I'm going to pick up, and I need some more seed beads out. I'm keeping these closed just so I don't spill them because that container is rather full. This is an awfully large bead, so I don't want to have that being my first bead. So I'm thinking I'm going to do a seed bead, maybe an orange bead. Let's see what that looks like. Again, I don't want, let's pick up a couple seed beads, because what I don't want is to have, or do we do a red, an orange? Let's see what that looks like. That might work, because what I don't want is the thread showing. And so I'm just going to come down through here and pull that. That's fine. We're going to come back up through. Whoops. And that's fine if I come back up through the top. I'm going to, again, see, I don't want that white showing. All right, we're pulling this out. Let's start out again doing 2 beads like we normally would for bead embroidery, and getting these 2 down. So you're going to want to graduate up your beads, and I'm leaving a little space there at the top because I want to be able to go around with my border. And I know you're looking at all of this on the top. Don't worry, we're not going to be cutting that. You know, if we need to, we can just pull this down a little bit. You know, once it's in there pretty good. Now I am going to come back up in between those two beads just because I want that nice and tight. I'm going to go through the red bead. I'm now going to pick up an orange bead and see if that will allow me to attach nicely. And then I'm going to do, I need a smaller bead, or potentially I'm going to pick up my bigger bead here. Because again, we're going to graduate this. So I want that red bead to be the biggest bead. So I'm going to go down through between the two Shiboris, and it is stiff there because there's a lot of fabric to get through. I'm going to come back up between the two, and I'm going to pick up the red and go through those one more time. They're a little loose, don't worry, they're going to tighten up. And now I'm going to pick up, I think, another orange, and then because we're getting close to the bottom, I think I'm going to do an orange bicone, just because I want some orange bicones down there, although that is a little small. So let's do a yellow. We don't have a yellow, and I know you're looking at this going, it's looking like a mermaid tail. Don't worry, we're going to fix that here in a minute. I like that, and then I'm going to need something small to fill in there, which will probably be a seed bead or one of the small red beads. Now I'm going to come back up through between the red and the orange and go back through 3. And then I am back down to nice and tight at the bottom there. I think I'm going to pick up a red because I think that will work to help hide the thread. And I'm just going to go in through just the fabric and pull that nice and tight, and that will get me in there. So now I have that. I'm going to come back up through the top here, close to where I came out of before, and I'm going to pick up a bicone. Okay. And that's going to, and actually, can we pick up, do we want to pick up a bicone? I think we want to pick up a big bead here. I think we're going to pick up a yellow first, because I do want some of this yellow, and get that in there. Because what I want to do is I'm going to kind of curve this, and then a bicone. I'm going to curve this in here, and I'm just going to put these 2 in to start, and I'm going to put 2 on the other side because I don't want this to get too pushed to the wrong side. So when I say push to the wrong side, I want this center line. So I'm going to come over here and come out right next to, if I can get the needle in where I want it. There we go. And I'm going to pick up a yellow. And don't worry, I can see thread, but we're going to fix that. And I'm going to come down and tuck in right next to that orange. And then we are going to pick up, that looks good. I like that. That red bead's hidden, but that's fine. I am going to come up through here, and I think I am going to pick up another orange. No, that's too big. A red, and I'm going to go up through that bicone and up through the yellow. And then I am going to pick up a seed bead. And nope, no seed bead. At least not yet. I'm going to stick back down and then we are going to go do the other side. I'm going to come back up through right next to the orange, pick up a red. And now we're not done by any means. This is just the center point. And I am going to embellish this with some crisscrossed, what I'm going to call crisscrossed seed beads. And so that way it's going to look, it'll also tuck this down. So now that we've gotten that, I need to fill in down here some. So I'm going to come down and I'm going to come right out next to this red. And I am going to pick up, I think, 2 copper beads. And we're just going to go down through just because I'm trying to fill in now. So we're going to put 2 copper beads there. I'm going to come up on the other side. And put 2 copper beads there. Just to make it symmetrical. Okay, so now we have our 2 copper beads on either side. Now, I need to put something right here, and I think an orange bicone would probably be perfect right there, just because it is, it's got that point, it's got a nice point shape, and then I'm going to also pick up a copper seed bead because, again, I want it to look like it's fanning out. And then we're going to do the same thing on the other side. And we're going to pick up an orange bicone and a copper bead. And I like that. That covers the majority of my it covers the majority of the point there. I don't necessarily need to do any more. But what I want to do now is I'm not liking, because I can see the thread. So I'm going to cover the thread potentially if this works. So I could cross over. I don't know if I like that. I think that'll be too bulky. So we're not going to do that. We're going to see. I'm going to leave that like that for the moment. And see what transpires. So now we've gotten the majority of this part beaded. I've used some of my bigger beads. So now we need to figure out, and I do need to do something there. That's going to bug me. 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm just going to see if doing a 5 cross there will, and when I say a 5 cross, it means taking 5 beads, 6, 7 beads. I'm just trying to figure out how many beads it's going to take to go over and tuck down and see if I like that. That will also hold down and actually I kind of like that, which it's giving me an idea. So I am going to tuck this in there and pull it nice and tight, which is fine because I'm only going to do that there, and I may do something up here as well, but one of the things I am going to do real quick is just kind of tie this here because I want that super tight. I'm just going to wrap it just so it stays tight. All right, now we need to decide what else we want to do. I do think I want to put, just so it doesn't look like it's, we might put big beads up here, maybe a red and an orange, I don't know. So I'm going to go back up and I'm going to continue. Decisions. What do we want to do? I do like that. I think I do want to put some beads there. Five seed beads to see if that will go across here. No, I need more. 5. Let's do 6, 7. And we're going to go down just because I don't like the thread showing, and I do like that. So now we've got a curved one there, a curved one there. That works. And I'm going to do some in there just so it doesn't look like it's random. I'm going to take, because I don't think that needs more than 3 to go there. And then we're going to come up through this side. And do 3 there. And then I am running out of thread, so I'm going to have to add additional thread. So I'm going to have to tie this off and then add thread. And we're going to go back through the bottom here. And we are going to I like that. I'm going to tie off now, so I'm just going to go underneath these threads here. I'm going to tie this off, and then we are going to, and as you can see, I just unthreaded my needle. So when you get too low on thread, you're going to start having the problem where when you go to pull things, if you snag on the corners, you're going to unthread your needle. So that can be a problem. So just, you know, be aware, you know, too short of a thread and you're going to have issues. All right, so that's tied off. We've got our beads there. I like that. All right, I am going to get some new thread here, and I need to make some decisions. So I am going to play for a little bit off camera just to see what I want to do here, and I will be right back. All right, guys, so I went a little further than I said. I got some more thread, and I went around. I do kind of like this. It's, you know, a nice round pendant. Now I need to fill in. I'm going to need to fill in the corners up here. And there is some, I can see some stitching here. So I'm thinking probably on both of these, I'm going to want to do another row of something here. And I don't know if I want to just do copper or if I want to do colored. I do want to see about maybe going back up. So I'm going to start on this side here, just because this side's the one that's got the biggest area, and I'm coming out. So I'm wondering if I want to do another row of this and alternating so that my seed beads are in the center of my let's try this. And it's okay if you see some of the background. I just want to make sure that you can't see stitches. And so that's where what I'm seeing here is I'm seeing stitches. So I'm thinking I may just do a row of red on up. Trying to get through. It's starting to get into where I had the paint. And I may just do that I may just do double on both sides. I'm going to have to do double on both sides because otherwise it's not going to be even. Now, granted, you could have an asymmetrical pattern. I could do this up here and then something down here to cross it. But again, I'm trying to do this so that it's a uniform pendant. It's going to have the bird dropping, the bird heart pendant on the bottom. So I want to make sure that this looks really nice here. So this is, I'm going to keep you guys with me while I'm doing some of this embellishing, just so that you can see. You're going to have to, sometimes you have to alter, sometimes you just have to alter what you're thinking. Especially with Shibori ribbon, because, you know, it's pleated ribbon and you may want it to lay a certain way and you may have it laying a certain way in your head. And, you know, you get working with it and then suddenly it's not laying the way you thought it was going to. It happens. and I think one more in orange, and then we are going to do the point. Because I think if we get the orange, that should cover to the point where when I do the beads on the point, it's going to be covered. And so I'm going to end that there. So I did roughly 5. I'm going to come out by the point on this side. And there we go. There's a lot of thread, there's a lot of fabric to get through there. So I am right at my point, and I am going to pick up I think I'm going to pick up a bicone. I'm going to do a bicone to start and get that bicone right up in there. And then I think I want an orange bead. Yeah? No, too big. I think with that, I think what I may want to do is maybe introduce one of these bronze bicones. Because again, I'm trying to cover up my overstitching, and that's fine. I'm going to have to put more beads in there, but I'm trying to form like a drop look. So I think that'll work. And then we're going to come back up through, and I think if we put the bright orange or red on there, I think that might... So we come up through the 2 bicones, and now we're coming out of there. I think maybe a red pearl. Yeah, a red pearl. I like that. And then a bicone. One of these 6mm bicones. So again, we're graduating. And then this is going to get tucked in straight down in. And again, you want to make sure it's as tight as you can to themselves when you're poking through the fabric. You don't want it too far away. And I'm going to come back up through between the 2 bicones, go through 3 beads, and then I'm going to pick up a bicone and a copper bead, and we are going to come down and go through there. So that looks good. And now I just need to come back in, and I'm going to fill in. I think I'm just going to fill in with some copper beads. I'm going to do 2 or 3. I'm going to pick up 3. I'm going to see how 3 copper beads lay in there, because I want to just make sure that that is filled in and you're not seeing any of the stitchings. And we're just going to come down through like that. I like that. Now we're going to come back up through the other side. Here, I'm going to pick up 3 more coppers. And then make sure that is nice and tight up in there, and go down through. And there we go. So that looks good. Now we've gotten our, I like that. I really like that. Now that no longer looks like a fishtail to me. It kind of almost looks like a rounded heart. Now I am going to come back. I've got a little bit of thread left. I don't know if I have enough to do everything, but I am going to finish off this other side with the bicones and reds. All right, I'm going to finish up this other side and get this on there, and we will be back to finish up here and see what we need to do for design in a minute. Okay, guys, so we are done with that. Now, I'm not sure if I want to add more embellishments or any more beads. I think that's, you know, got a lot of beads on it, and this is going to look quite interesting. And keep in mind, it doesn't look like much while it's on there. I am going to fasten off my thread here, and I'm going to put a knot in, and we are going to start trimming just to see what it's going to look like once it's all trimmed up. So I'm going to cut off my thread here if I can untangle it from my scissors. I'm just trimming up some ends. They don't need to be that long. You know, if you've got, you know, like this is an end, I'm just trying to get it out of the way. And now I'm just going to start trimming. And keep in mind, I've got that jump ring, which can be tucked out of the way. I only did the one jump ring because I was thinking about it. And I don't know if I want to do jump rings on the top or if I want to do beads. So I am just going to do, and I need my curved scissors. So if you have rounded scissors like this, they do so much better for getting into curves. To be honest, they're embroidery scissors. You could probably buy them at any sewing store. And yes, I'm going right up to the edge of my stitches, which is why I'm cutting on the back side compared to the front, is because I don't want to trim stitches. And so there's a stitch there I need to avoid, but not. And see, that looks so much better now that you don't have the white background. You know, that tends to detract from whatever design you're doing. And yes, well, I know I'm not. And see, that was just that wasn't relaxed. That wasn't a thread. It was just a there we go. And so this is going to sit down there, and you're going to have your pendant hanging off of that. So that's going to look good. I just need to get my last corner here trimmed up. And that was just an end, which I don't necessarily need. All right, so I'm just looking to see if I see anything sticking up. Because again, I want it to look nice and neat. All right, so now we need to decide what kind of background we're going to put on this. And I'm thinking, and I'm going to pause you for a second because I'm going to grab something. So I had bought some leather, and it's this really patinaed faux leather. It's got flowers, and I actually like it. It's, I think I can use black, embroidery thread, or even maybe this would go well with it so that I could do the edging. But I think this would look really cool on the back of this. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to use some of this. And I want to make sure that my flowers are facing up. I don't want it sideways. So I have to make sure that I keep my flowers facing up. So I'm going to quickly clean up here and just take these bigger scraps here. I'll save those because I can use that to make smaller earrings. So for example, this, I might be able to get a single bunny on that. This one, maybe not so much, but yeah. So, never throw away your scraps if they're big enough that you can maybe do a smaller piece. Obviously the tiny ones that have like hardly anything left probably isn't going to work. So I'm going to set this tray aside for the moment. And with this facing up, I am going to just kind of position this on here. And I am going to cut just so I'm not, I've got, the size piece that I need, but I don't have extra. Now, this is the part where I'm going to have to pause you for the evening and let this dry, because the E6000 does need to cure before I start doing my edging and then determining how I want to attach and the beauty of this is my jump ring, the hole is literally right near those. I'm turning it so it's right near the where it's sewn on, but it is not going to stick out. And I'm just tucking those fuzzy ends in with my fingers just so that there's no thread sticking out. And I'm just going to set this down, making sure my jump ring is centered where I need it to be. And then I'm just going to press that down. And that's perfectly on there. It doesn't have to be perfectly even. Again, because this is the back, but it's still upright. Now, while that is drying, one of the things we're going to have to figure out now is what we want to do for a beaded necklace. So this is where you figure you're going to have roughly, so if we measure this, we are roughly 2 inches. Let's just say we're at the 2-inch mark there. So we need to start our design, and I'm just going to put a couple beads there. We need to start our design here. And so I'm thinking I want to do something along the lines of this, where we have that coming out. Put the pearl there, put some orange, maybe put an orange to start. And then two, 3 bicones. Three bicones. Maybe add in a orange bicone there. And then I can put in seed beads in between here. And then we'll do another orange, red, orange, red, one of those, and then we'll taper down to and again, I don't know if I'm going to need all of these. I may not. It may be it may only need to be about half of that. But I'm just getting a design so that that's going to be the necklace. And again, I want the pendant to drop, you know, pretty low. So anyways, I'm going to pause you for the evening. I'm going to let this dry. I think that's going to look fabulous. I may, when I bead this on, I may actually sew it in and then weave seed beads in and around and do some kind of bead woven pattern around the beads where it would make a nice, you know, incorporating, you know, this. So anyways, I'm going to pause you. We will pick it up here as soon as this dries, probably tomorrow morning. So it'll be a couple minutes for you, but it's going to be overnight for me. So I will be back. All right, guys. So I actually went a little further off camera just because I know you've seen me do the beading around the edge. I did take and use a leather punch here and punched holes in the leather and through the fabric and beat it around it, but I put in some jump rings just so I have anchor points. And then I started digging through my stash because this pendant is, you know, antique red copper. So I pulled out my some red copper spacer beads. I also pulled out some red copper bead caps and then my crimp bead covers. So we're going to use silver crimp beads. One of the things that I'm going to do, because I need to figure out exactly how long this needs to be so it lays just where I need it, I'm going to take some Beadalon, and I'm going to take roughly, I don't know, maybe a foot, little over a foot, maybe, I don't know, 14, 15 inches. And I am going to basically put a crimp and a crimp cover on it. Just so that I can attach it to the collar portion of the pendant and just get it. And so now I know I don't have a bead cover on there, and you're like, wait a minute, you don't have a bead, but I don't have any beads on here, so it's fine. I'm just going to crimp this right here at the end. and then just make sure this isn't coming off. So like I tried pulling, that's not going anywhere. And I am going to put on my crimp cover now. And I'm going to put it on so that we have the crimp covered. So it's covered. Now I am going to temporarily attach this here. I'm just going to open it up with my fingers, put on, and I'm going to do this on both sides because what I want to do here, and I will get this probably tighter. And yes, I am mixing copper and red copper, but that's fine. I want to get this on. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. And it really doesn't matter how long these are because we are going to be trimming. So if one's a little longer, that's fine. All right, and we're going to put on a bead cover, crimp cover here. And get this on the other side. So now I want to do something that has a lot of the metals. I want to pull in a lot of metals on this. I decided I kind of want to go for a boho Victorian medieval, I don't know, like just something, you know, pretty ornate, just because this is very ornate and this pendant's going to be very ornate when we attach it. So I'm going to open up my spacer beads and, or my, these, and I'm going to pick out some, a design. I'm going to maybe pick, you know, something that'll fit. I don't want something too big, but something that'll fit on my pearls. So, you know, maybe that. I don't know. I'm going to, I see I've got, oops, and I'm throwing beads everywhere. I see I have these, which I do like the way that kind of looks, but not on that one. So maybe on that one, no. On the orange, nope, it's got to be on the red. So I think what we're going to start out with is I am going to pull in an orange, and I need a small, I think I'm going to pull in a small bead cap, this little flower here on this side, and this little, I'm just making sure I have the same, yep, on this side. And then we'll put in an orange. On each side to start. So this will start out with an orange. This one will start out with an orange. And I like that. So that gives me my starting point. And then I think maybe do a red with this floral. And is that going to be too much bead caps? No. I think that's good. Let me dig out 2 more of those. And so we're going to do a red. Oops, sorry about hitting the camera. Ooh, and I'm throwing beads everywhere. All right, we'll get it. We'll pick that up in a minute. And we'll put the second bead cap on. And then I think I want to maybe do a bronze here. So we'll pick up a big bronze. So let's do a big bronze there. A big bronze here. One of these orange pinky beads, and then do another bronze. So I'm redoing my design, rethinking my design as I go, just because I want more of the darker colors. That and another bronze. And do I have more of those? I've got 1, 2, 3, and I'm gonna have to, there we go, 4 of those. So I'm just gonna measure this on, yeah, so I've got a ways to go. What I may do is actually, yes, we're going to do that. So we're going to pick up, so I'm going to finish this pattern, which is going to be bead cap, red bead cap, orange, and then we will put in some spacer beads and do orange. And then I just need to find one of those flower 5-petal. So I just have my spacer beads off to the side here, or my bead caps off to the side. So I think that will work. It's an awful lot of brown. I don't know. I'm debating. I don't know if I like that. So I'm just holding it up. I mean, it matches the design of, it does match the design. I don't know if I like this bead here. I definitely don't want to throw blue in there. Well, let me continue on. Let me get this side done and see what that looks like. So I've got a bunny, so if you can hear noises, that is just a bunny who is, she's playing, she's in the hall. It's about dinner time, so I might have to pause you guys and go feed bunnies if they get too rambunctious. All right, so hanging that, if that's hanging around my neck, yeah, I mean, when it's hanging, it looks fine. I think it's just with all these beads here, it's just, so I think I'm going to do decisions. Bronze bicone. An orange bicone that I'm pulling in from my stash here, just to kind of tie into the, and then another bronze bicone, which will give me my swap to do my next set of beads. And while I'm doing this, I may end up not liking this. I may finish this and put it aside and end up hating it and being like, okay, we're going to have to redo the whole thing, but who knows? All right, so the next thing I think I want to do is I want to put orange. I want to get an orange. I think I want red, orange, red, orange. Put a spacer bead. Instead of just the bead caps, we'll put a spacer bead. And then another And then a orange, red, bronze, red, orange maybe. So we're going to try that. I'm going to do the other side, and then we'll see how long that is. Because again, this is going to be, part of this is going to be around the back, and actually I don't like that. I'm going to take that off. I do like this part here. I think I need more bead caps. 2, 3, and I might have enough to do this. So I think what I'm going to do is the pearls will all be bead capped. One of the things that I'm thinking about now is I probably could have put bead caps on these to tie it in more, but hindsight. All right, and then orange. Let's do that. I'm going to do that on the other side, and we will see how long it is and if we need, how much more we need. So now I'm doing this, and I'm going to say that I have mixed feelings about this. I kind of like it. I also kind of hate it. But that's, you know, I've done this many times with Shibori when I'm making things. Yeah, we've got at least another inch to go, 1.5 inches on either side. So, you know, I say that, you know, I don't know if I like it. I kind of like it and I kind of hate it at the same time. You know, I do that periodically where, I will make something and I will, nope, I don't like the yellow. I will make something and I will, you know, be like, yeah, I don't know if I like it. And then I'll put it away for, I don't know, a month or two and decide whether or not I'm going to rip it apart and do something else. And then end up coming back to it a month or two later and either absolutely loving it or hating it. Whereas I was on the fence when I was designing it. And that was kind of this, like, I am not a big fan of reds and oranges. While I like these beads and they're very pretty, and it gave me ideas, especially with this, because I like how dark this is. I'm just not I'm not a big fan of the orange, the oranges and browns, unless you're talking fall maple leaves. All right, I'm going to put an orange on there. And then I am going to see now that I've gotten that. And I need to go at least, I still need at least another. All right, do we have more? I've got 2 more of those. Do I have 4 more? There's 3 and 4. I do. Oh, good. That's the one thing about getting these bead cap mixes is you don't always have enough bead caps in the same design sometimes to do what you're thinking. And I actually bought these for a different purpose. And when I had bought them, they were darker than I expected, so I ended up not using them for what I intended, and they went into my stash. But now that I am dealing with a dark pendant, they're actually kind of working out quite nicely. All right, so now that I've got that on there, that actually is perfect for putting on my findings, because that is going to be kind of tight up to the neck, which is what I want. and then the pendant will lay just where I need it to. So, and I actually do, now that I'm looking at it, now that the beads are all on, I do kind of like that. So I am going to finish this off, and I'm going to grab, if I can find some red copper. I'm going to do a red copper lobster claw. And I have Bunny's misbehaving. Bella! And I don't know if you can hear toys rattling. That would be Miss Velvet playing with her toys here in the room. All right, so I'm going to crimp this. And then again, we're going to cut, and then I'm going to tuck some glue in. Okay. And you don't necessarily have to use the glue. I like to just add extra glue just because I think it helps to secure. It gives me peace of mind. I've actually had, when I've had necklaces fail, it's not the crimp that fails. It's actually the wire itself. Which is a good thing because that tells me that my crimping is secure. I'd rather have, I'd rather not have it fail, but I've had, and that's why I'm also using the 19 strand beading wire for these because they're heavy and I don't want these to fail. Thinner, lighter beads, if you're doing, a seed bead necklace or something, the smaller 7 or, 7 or one of those, 7 or 9 will suffice. But if you're doing heavy, you definitely want, the, what do you call it? The 19 or 21 or, whatever you can get, the thickest wire you can get that'll go through your beads. Now that's perfect. So that is going to be a nice collar effect. And I'm going to put on some jump rings here. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to string a couple of jump rings together here just to give me a little bit of because I do not have any rose gold, or not rose gold, but red copper extender chains. So I'm just going to take 3 of these and go through there so that I have a little bit of an extension. People can use one or all of them. I may put additional ones on. And then I'm going to tuck the lobster claw onto this side. And then we are going to add in our pendant. And so when I add the pendant in, I am going to add at least, if I have it, 3 jump rings. And so I'm going to see, and I don't have any bigger jump rings, so I'm going to have to use these little ones. I don't know if this will work. These might be too small. Although that actually worked. And then I'm going to add at least 1 more, if not 2, to this, because what I want here is to make sure that, 1, this is on here quite securely. but two, that, you know, I want this to look like it's pretty weighty. This jump ring isn't going anywhere. It's glued in, sewed in, and there is no opening. Whereas these little jump rings, there's openings. And so what I want to make sure of, and I'm going to need to get a pair of small pliers here because I can't close that without pinching here. What I'm trying to make sure of is that there's not a single point of failure. So that's what that's going to look like. And let me put this on a mannequin and show you how it's going to hang. So I don't have a white mannequin. I think it would look better on a white mannequin, but this is the way it's going to hang on your neck. It's going to be up kind of at the V of the neck, and then this is going to hang down. So yeah, so that's what it's going to look like. And so there is a Shibori pendant collar necklace. I don't even know what to call this, but I do like that. I mean, that's fun. All right, I am liking this. I'm starting to like it. So anyways, that's that. I'm gonna live with this for a little bit. I'm gonna glue in those off camera. Oops, I just put the jump rings in the wrong thing. I will fix those in a minute. So yeah, so this is the Shibori. I'm gonna set this aside. I think I'm gonna clean up before we start doing some additional beading. So yeah, so this is a I don't know, I'm going to call this like a rustic queen Victorian necklace. I don't know. Like, I need a name for this, guys. So if you've got a name or you're thinking of a name, leave me something in the comments. Cuz this piece definitely needs a title. I just don't know what to call it. So anyways, that's the first item from the Curated bead box, Sunshine and Lollipops. And yeah, I'm gonna clean up, and then I will meet you back here in the next one for, I don't know, we're gonna do something fun. Anyways, thanks for watching.